Hello, I'm Jonathan Mason.
And I'm Sonia Madison, and welcome to Law Unfiltered, where we talk about various current events and the legal underlying issues. So, have you been watching the Olympics these past couple of weeks?
I did watch a fair amount of it.
Did you get into the Team USA spirit?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't like that hesitation.
Yeah. I think, I did generally, but they also promote a lot of individual stories and backstories on the athletes. And so I think that's one of the most compelling things about it. So you'll see the person, where they grew up and their family and the struggles they had. So then by the time they show the race or the event, then you're really invested and you're really, you're rooting for that person.
So you're not one of those like, I'm just looking for USA. I want USA to win. You're just like, I want the underdog.
There's some of that, but I wanted the men's basketball to lose actually.
I kind of felt that a little bit too towards the end because they were just dominating, and you kind of like, this is not competition. I can't enjoy.
Don't hold that against me, but I don't know. What was it? It was I had no interest in them, and I'm a basketball fan, but I didn't even watch. I maybe watched one. I didn't even really watch the game. It was like I was out and one of the games was on, and it happened to be one of the close games, so it caught my attention, and I watched the second half maybe. But
completely understand, although I didn't catch it until the last half of the final. But of course, the big story is Ryan Lochte, right? Now, I know that you're familiar with it. Can you kind of walk us through how he became such a big issue and then what he did to make his situation even worse?
Well, yeah, Ryan Lochte is a swimmer, and he's a veteran of the Olympics, and he's about 32 years old. So he's been to several Olympics.
Right, made us proud several years.
Right. And so it came out during the Olympics that he and a group of three of his other friends, or I don't know if they're friends now anyway, but a group of about total four guys went out, and they were all swimmers. And Ryan Lochte, the next thing you know, you see him on NBC being interviewed talking about being robbed at gunpoint in Rio. And initially the Olympic Committee said, no, there's no evidence that this happened. This didn't happen. And initially I thought, well, they're just trying to not look bad because, Rio was getting a lot of criticism for accommodations and the pool conditions and all those sorts of things. So everybody was like, oh, that's just another thing where the Olympic Committee's not, they're protecting themselves and the city. But as it went along and people began to dig deeper into it, it turns out that there were some lies, misrepresentations, inaccuracies, however you want to categorize it, in his initial story, in which he claimed that he and the three other guys were robbed at gunpoint, and the other guys got down on the ground, and he was like, I'm not getting on the ground because I didn't do anything wrong, and then they put a gun to my head, and they took our money, didn't take our credentials, and I don't think they said they took their wallets. I know a lot of people. I listen to a lot of sports talk radio, and this was covered, even though it's not a true sports event, extensively. And there were some people who just immediately
believe Ryan.
No, immediately were skeptical of the story. And so, as it moved along, then video footage surfaced that kind of showed what actually happened, and how these guys were basically drunk guys. They stopped at the gas station. They start urinating outside, and I'm not clear what damage was done to the restroom, or if it was just that sign that I saw.
I heard the door handle or something.
Yeah, but I didn't see that. I saw the outdoor sign, which didn't seem like a big deal. They shouldn't have done it. It is a big deal, but in terms of monetary damage, it didn't seem like a big deal. And so ultimately, it showed that, the security guards for this gas station, they confronted the the four and basically demanded money for the damages that they had caused to the location. Which, if we think about it in this country, which we truly can't because we're not, every culture is different. But, you think if you do something like that in this country, then they're going to call the police. police will come. There'll be some kind of
Or
report. You
even,
may have some civil
I feel
liability,
like
but
even in this country, if it was like a black male that came and vandalized property and the security guard, told him to get down and all this kind of stuff. Now, if the black person said, no, I'm not going to do that, we'd be like, well, he is completely in the wrong. He messed
but
up and all this kind of stuff.
but I'm not really, yeah, and I agree, but I'm not. The point I'm talking about is sort of the instant justice of we're going to pull out a gun and you're going to have to pay us money right now for what you did. Maybe in some places in this country it would go down like that. But in general, is not the way you would expect it to happen in this country. And I'm not defending them at all because I don't understand in the first instance why he had to tell the story that he told, which apparently he started by telling to his mother. They'd been robbed, and ultimately that's how it got to the press. From conversations she would have with a member.
Which I don't think he intended to tell probably the story to the press. I think he probably just intended to tell it to his mom. And then it spread it.
But I can't for the life of me figure out why
he
told his mother a lie like that. I don't know. Like, what were the circumstances? Do you just volunteer?
I don't know.
Do you just volunteer a lie to your mother like that? I don't know too many kids
that are like, yes, mother, I urinated at a gas station and vandalized their property and then, refused to get on the ground when they demanded.
But how would she have even known like that? How would it even have come up? That no one really, that videotape wasn't out there. It probably never would have been if the authorities hadn't started investigating their story. So I just don't understand why he felt like he had to, because he came in late. I mean, I don't understand.
Well, now, from my understanding, he didn't lose his credentials, but I thought that he did lose his wallet. Well, I thought he lost something, and maybe he felt like I'm going to have to account for the fact that I may need some more money or something that he may need as a result from this. But again, we don't know. I mean, it could be just he was reckless in retelling this story.
Well, not just that. To me, it's like, okay, so if it were me and the story got out after I told my mother, there's no way in the world I would have gone on NBC with Matt Lauer and repeated the story with all the embellishment, I'll say, that he did. I just don't.
Especially when the police, the city is now really investigating this.
Absolutely.
There will be video footage.
Absolutely. And then you slowly started hearing, they don't remember what color the cab was, or they don't remember where they were. It was just like,
or
okay, this story is like. Or
constantly say I was intoxicated. If you have to keep saying that.
Yeah, the story is just, when pressed for details, it just didn't add up. But he completely made it worse by his actions in, number one, creating the story, but number two, even if you tell your mother, that's one thing. But to go on national TV during one of the most widely viewed programs of the year and tell this crazy story, I don't know. I can't figure out why he would do that.
I'm sure hindsight is 20/20. But I do want you to explain, because at one point he leaves and the police, at least the Brazil police, are trying to question, get more information. And that they want to get in touch with him to talk to him. They're able to confiscate his friends. Why couldn't the U.S. send Ryan back so that the Brazilian police could talk to him and get more of a statement?
Well, I don't think that this alleged crime is of the nature that would allow or require the U.S. to send him back to Brazil to face up to charges for this type of crime.
Or just make a statement, right?
Well, yeah, even especially to make a statement. I mean, if he actually been charged with a crime, maybe that would have been one thing. But even so, I mean, it's.
But even if he'd been charged with a crime, even knowing what all you know, what crime could he even have been charged with?
I have no idea under Brazilian law, but I don't even know if it's I mean, I guess, we have crimes here for destruction, public. Yeah. Although in the video, there's, I guess, public indecency if they urinated outside. I mean, we have destruction of property statutes here, but gosh, if someone broke a sign at a gas station here in the United States, I don't even know if they would get charged with
Well,
that.
and I'd imagine if you broke a sign and then impaired the police ability to investigate the incident, I mean, that can get into obstruction of justice.
Maybe in
too.
Mayberry, but in Atlanta, Georgia, I think
Well,
the cops would be like,
I don't know. If it makes national news here, and you've already been criticized heavily about your ability to host such a huge event, and now you've got one of your star U.S. athletes going around telling everyone that, hey, not only is this water bad, but now I can't even walk outside.
absolutely,
gas
but
station.
I'm just talking about an everyday incident. Like
Right.
if that happened here in this, the gas station up on the corner,
Yeah,
I doubt if you could even get a police officer. You can barely get a police officer to come to an accident if someone's not injured. I mean, it takes forever. So I don't know. It just seems, but I understand why they put so much emphasis on it. I would have done the same thing when, first of all, there's this ugly American, persona that's out there to the rest of the world that, we're privileged, we spoiled, we think we can do whatever we want. The athletes were given just all sorts of advice on things to do, what not to do, where to go, how to dress, what to take with you.
probably stay in the Olympic Village.
All those sorts of things. I mean, they're adults. And that's the other thing about Ryan Lochte I mentioned at the beginning. I mean, these other guys are like in their early 20s. He's 32 years old. So his behavior was way worse than the behavior of the other guys. They all you didn't hear anything from them. So that's why I wonder, why did you have to just keep hearing so much from Ryan Lochte? But at the same time, Ryan Lochte's had failed reality shows, and I don't know, he's just.
Well, to his credit, not the incident, but to his credit as an athlete, I mean, he's won several gold medals. He is one of the top swimmers in the country.
But even some of his gold medals are in relays that probably he benefited from. Probably at least half of them are from relay events.
Nonetheless, they're still. I mean, you're there representing USA, and while yes, we may have a reputation for being entitled, and Ryan definitely exacerbated that reputation. Brazil had a reputation of being pretty much poor and unprepared to handle this, and when you're having to go through all these meetings to warn athletes, hey, you need to stay here, you don't need to do this, you need to make sure you don't get bitten, all this other stuff that's come along. I'm not surprised that, they were very adamant about, let's investigate this. I mean, if anything, if there was any truth to your story, we're going to handle it. So it's made known that we're making sure you guys are protected. And so I wasn't surprised when they were asking, hey, bring him back, we need to get a statement. We're not going to let these 3 or 4 other guys leave. We're going to get a statement from them, but we really want one from Ryan, because the 2 stories were not adding up. But now, what do you think of his apology? I mean, do you think that's sufficient, or do you think it's just...
No, I think he's going to get... I don't think it was sincere, first of all. It clearly wasn't written by him. And I think he's going to get suspended. A heavy suspension.
Really?
I mean, they just suspended Hope Solo for 6 months. And I think what she did was...
Not even... I mean, it was bad. Calling them cowards is not... But it was not, near the same.
No, it's not. A tweet calling them cowards is not the same as just telling a, fabricated story
repeatedly
on national TV, international TV. You might as well say.
So with the fact that he's lost 2 endorsements, and
he's
probably
lost
all
more.
of
He's lost 4 at this point.
Do you think he can come back to the sport, or do you think he'll stay with it?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean, it seemed to me he was on the tail end of his career anyway. And people come back, they get second chances. Kobe Bryant got second chances, but at the same time, Kobe was still at the height of his career. He was still making a lot of money for the sport, for the team, for his brand, potentially. But I don't know. I don't think he's gonna come back from it. I mean, he's not a dominant swimmer any longer. If he ever was, and I don't see a sponsor wanting to be affiliated with him. Now, maybe he needs to rehabilitate himself by doing some charity work or PSAs or fundraising or something like that. That kind of maybe that he can bounce back that way. But I don't know. I think his commercial value right now is going to be very limited for a long, long, long time.
Well, so final question. Now that the Olympics is over, we've seen the closing. Do you think this will pretty much be the mark that we will never forget about the Olympics, or are there just other things that you're like, when I think about 2016 Olympics, I will first think about something else?
No, I don't. I don't think it'll be the lasting mark. It won't be for me. I'll think about the track and field with Bolt. I'll think about of course, the gymnastics, and I'll even think about swimming outside of Ryan Lochte with Michael Phelps. Those will be
Simone
my
Manuel,
yeah, Simone Manuel. I mean, those will be my lasting. I mean, I'll remember, but that won't be the dominant thought. Like when I think about the Rio Olympics, I don't want to think about that idiot.
Well, and I do hope he learned something from this, because I mean, I get we all make mistakes. Granted, you've repeatedly lied, and so you're really kind of like, at what point did it not register? Hey, I need to stop with this story. But we are a country of second chances, and so hopefully you maybe go back to Rio and do some rehabilitation, or do some type of apology tour or whatnot. But it also matters what you do when you are at your low.
Yeah, and one thing that's been interesting to me is like the columnists have been ruthless. Like Sally Jenkins, for example, I think she called him the dumbest bell that's ever been rung. I mean, they've been all over him, and I think he deserves it.
Some of them have been saying, "Oh, he's just a kid," which you're like,
I don't
why are you calling him a kid?
I don't want to hear people.
And some of them are being boys
over
boys. I mean, I think it's both sides. Some of them are really.
It's okay that boys will be boys, but you don't have to make up a stupid story. I almost cursed. You don't have to make up a stupid story because to cover something that you did that you don't want people to know about. It's just.
I don't even know if it was to cover. I guess it was the story came out and now you got to ride with it. Which, no, you didn't. You just need to tell the truth, but you didn't.
Well, you didn't have to say anything. You told your mother. The reporters found out about it from her, but that doesn't obligate you to keep talking about it.
Right.
If something happened, you're like, you know what? I have no comment. I don't want to talk about it. And maybe if he had advisors who had gotten to him.
Mm-hmm. Because us as attorneys would say, hey, don't say anything.
Don't say anything. Why do you need to say anything?
Right.
Yeah, so. But anyway, like you said, hopefully he learned the lesson. But in the conscience of America, he doesn't really even matter. Now people know who he is because of this incident. Some people.
You knew him before. I mean, no one.
You had to be
I knew him and I don't follow swimming, but I knew, Ryan, I remember the name.
If you took a survey or a poll before this Olympics, I would say the vast majority of people wouldn't have known who he was.
Well, I would say then that vast majority didn't follow the Olympics in London or wherever it was, in Beijing.
Even if they did, if you said Michael Phelps, yeah, people know. Ryan Lochte.
For me, those are the only two I really remember. Ryan Lochte. Michael Phelps, and of course I'm going to remember Katie Ledecky. I thought she did it great. Simone Manuel, I'm going to remember, as well as Missy Franklin. But like you also said, there were so many, like Team USA in track was great, especially the women. I was a little disappointed with the men here and there, but still it was an exciting meet. Gymnastics, of course, great volleyball. I thought was very entertaining as well. So definitely other stories to remember with the Olympics, and hopefully Ryan, for the sake of the rest of the country, does learn something and rehabilitate himself.
I don't care if he doesn't. He can go wherever as far as I'm concerned. All right.
Well, tell us what you think, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next Law Unfiltered.
All right. Take care. Bye.